Spelunky. Okay, this might not seem like the most inspired choice for this week's game because most of you have probably already played it. But there are a couple of things I wanted to mention about it, and I figure that there might be a couple of you who are new to this, so it's worth a look, even if it's not your first time. The first and most obvious thing to mention about Spelunky is its randomly generated levels. What interests me about this is not so much that the game makes random levels, but that it does it so well. Of course, this is not such a new idea, as roguelike RPGs have been around for ages, but in a platformer I feel like there's more scope for things to go wrong and to catch the player in unwinnable situations. That being said, this is a relatively simple game in the fact that it's a 2D platformer. So question number one is, how do you think AI-designed levels stack up to user-designed levels? Will we eventually see them used more commonly in other genres of gaming apart from platformers and RPGs? If so, then which genres, and how long until we start seeing them used more commonly? Another thing that interests me in any procedurally generated game is narrative. I'm a huge fan of narrative in games, so I'm sometimes afraid that procedurally generated games won't be able to hold up this end of the experience. But the weird thing is that this often seems to be the reverse. The stories that the players do experience are made up by themselves and seem to be more personal because by their random nature, players know that not everyone has had the same experience. Look at games like Dwarf Fortress or even sandbox games like Far Cry 3, where people love to share their own personal stories about things that no one else has seen. So, do procedurally generated games or sandbox games produce better or worse stories than scripted games? And finally, the distribution and success of the game. Spelunky is something of an indie game success story, going from a free PC game made on GameMaker to having paid versions on XBLA and the PS3 and the Vita platforms. Other games like Super Meat Boy have had similar success in similar ways. So, last question. Of the many other indie projects out there, what is it about Spelunky that has made it stand out and become such a success? What lessons do you think other indie or amateur developers can take from Spelunky? Anyway, thanks for being a part of GameReader, and I'll see you on the forums.